Hi guys. So today I'm going to be talking to you guys about the Ebola virus. So questions, what is it and why does it matter? Well, I'm glad you asked that question. Well, Ebola was named Ebola because the virus was found along the Ebola River in 1976, which is now called Zaire. That section of the area is called Zaire, which is now part of the DRC, which is the Democratic Republic of Congo. Now, like I said earlier, in 1976 was when Ebola was first discovered along the Ebola River, started growing its roots in Western Black Africa. By January of 2014, there were 28,600 confirmed cases, and by the end of 2016, there were 11,300 deaths of all those cases. In 2018, there was the outbreak in the DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo. Outbreaks started popping up all over the northwest part of the country. 2019 started the 10th outbreak, and June 25th, 2020 was the longest outbreak ever. It was a 2-year outbreak from 2018 to 2020. How does Ebola transmit? Very important question. Hosts and carriers. So the hosts are mainly fruit bats or possibly birds, plants, arthropods, but researchers really haven't confirmed about what the natural reservoir is, but they're leaning toward bats. Although bats might be cute and cuddly, they are absolutely evil in reality because they can spread Ebola virus, Marburg virus, rabies, and etc. So when we move on to transmission, the virus likes to hitchhike onto a body or thing it can survive on till it finds its way to a human cell. Basically, as a metaphor, virus gets a taxi to the human cell, but it only transmits if the carrier of the virus actually interacts with a human. Replication, very important. Human cells have receptors, which are like locks, and the virus have the keys to opening the human cell. So here we have the host receptor, so I call those the little locks. And then the GP, I call each of those the little keys. So then it ends up being able to open it. So human cells have receptors, which are like locks and keys, like I show you. And the virus has the keys to opening the human cell, which once it opens, start the viral fusion between the viral envelope and the cell membrane. It's cell membrane right there. The virus hijacks that cell into replicating itself, which makes millions of little viruses inside that cell. And so what I'm trying to say is here you have the nice cell. Then comes the mean cell and says, hey, let's have some fun together. So they both mash into each other. But it was that mean virus's fault, which versus the cell. So the mean virus starts to be tagging around and following that cell wherever it goes. So it decides to share. So we have the good cell here, the bad cell here of the virus, and they start to open up. So here you have all the little virus, you have the virus cell, and then it opens it up and it starts creating the healthy cell into a virus copying machine. So it's very, I guess we could say, it's very periodic. It has a repeating pattern. It copies thousands and thousands of little viruses. But the thing is, the healthy cell, once it's hijacked, the little viruses will start to grow and grow and grow. And so those also mean that like the little tiny viruses will start like multiplying by like literally millions. And so that healthy cell, of course, guess what it's going to do? It's going to expand and expand and expand and lastly but not leastly, it's not even a word, but it is now. It goes, the cell, healthy cell that was hijacked goes kablooey, as Mr. Dykstra would say, and that's when all the fun little viruses get to skip around, zippity-doo-dah inside your body. So what to pay attention to? Symptoms, you could just have flu-like symptoms, like all the other viruses before, but like honestly not being very hungry, throwing up, stomach pains, tiredness, getting diarrhea, chest pains, shortness of breath, and then once you get like into like the bad stages, the fatal stages, they're followed with external and internal bleeding from the small infections, hemorrhagic dialysis, slow immune reactions, shock, organ failure, coagulation disorders, But with Ebola virus, the internal and external bleeding, that's what Ebola virus is mainly known for, is that like you can just get poked and you can just start bleeding out. Anyway, so with prevention, one thing that you want to do with prevention, you want to make sure, please, 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 wash your hands frequently. That will be very, very important thing to keep the virus away. And make sure to avoid people who are infected. Stay away from bushmeat because that can also be infected with Ebola. Avoid wild animals because they can also be affected with Ebola. And please, I'm not trying to be rude to the West African hospitals, but they have accepted so many patients with Ebola that the virus can just be floating around anywhere in the hospital, and you might even get it too. And a thing that can prevent just one species. Okay, here's one thing that I did not tell you, which I should have, honestly. There are 5 kinds of Ebola virus, but there is only one vaccine for one species of Ebola virus, which is called the Ervebo vaccine, which only works for one kind, which is called the Zaire, something like that, Ebola virus. So it only works for that. And last but not least, the end. Honestly, please keep safe and just wash your hands. And I think honestly, that's all that's really going to matter. I think